Jake Morrison floated near the window of the International Space Station, watching Earth turn slowly below him. The blue and white marble looked peaceful in the morning sunlight. He had been living in space for 3 months now, and the view still took his breath away. Every single day, he was drinking his morning coffee from a special space pouch when something caught his eye. A bright flash in the distance, somewhere beyond the moon. Jake rubbed his eyes and looked again. The flash was gone, but now there was something else. Something that definitely was not supposed to be there. "Control, this is Morrison on the ISS." He spoke into his radio. "I'm seeing something unusual in Sector 7. Can you confirm?" The voice from Earth crackled back. "What kind of unusual, Jake?" Jake pressed his face against the thick glass window. The object was getting bigger, or maybe it was getting closer. It looked like a giant crystal, but crystals did not fly through space. "It's big, Control, really big. And it's moving toward us." Within minutes, every telescope on Earth was pointed at the strange object. At NASA headquarters in Houston, Dr. Lisa Carter rushed into the main control room. She had been working on alien life research for 15 years, always hoping for this moment. Now it was actually happening. "How big is it?" she asked the technician. At the main screen. "About 1 kilometer long," came the reply. "Maybe more? It's hard to tell exactly because of the shape." Lisa stared at the image on the screen. The object looked like it was made of glass or crystal, with smooth surfaces that reflected the light from the sun. It was beautiful, but also terrifying. Nothing from Earth could build something like that. "Is it sending any signals?" she asked. "Nothing yet, but it's slowing down, like it wants to stop near Earth." All around the world, people were starting to notice. The object was big enough to see from Earth with good binoculars. News stations began broadcasting emergency reports. Some people panicked and ran to stores to buy food and water. Others stood in their yards, looking up at the sky. President Helen Brooks was in a meeting when her assistant burst through the door. "Madam President, we have a situation, a big one." 20 minutes later, Helen sat in the White House Situation Room with her top advisors. On the big screen, they could see the alien ship clearly now. It had stopped moving and was hanging in space like a huge jewel. "Any weapons visible?" asked Admiral Ryan Davis, the head of Earth's Space Defense Initiative. "No obvious weapons," replied the intelligence officer. "But with technology like that, who knows what they're capable of?" Helen felt the weight of the moment. She was the leader of the most powerful nation on Earth, but suddenly that did not seem to matter much. "What do our allies say?" "The UN Security Council is meeting an emergency session." Everyone is scared, but everyone is also curious. This is the biggest moment in human history. Back at NASA, Dr. Carter was working with her team to try to understand the alien ship. They had been sending radio signals toward it for hours, but got no response. Then, suddenly, everything changed. "Dr. Carter," shouted one of her assistants. "We're getting something, a signal. It's coming from the ship." The signal was not like anything they had ever heard. It was complex, with layers of information that seemed to change and shift. But somehow their computers were able to decode it. The message was in perfect English. "People of Earth," the message began, "we are the Velari. We have been watching your world for many of your lifetimes. Do not be afraid. We come in peace." Lisa felt her heart pounding. First contact. The moment every scientist had dreamed about. "Record everything," she told her team. "Every single word." The message continued. "We know you have many questions. We will answer them. But first, we must tell you why we are here. Your world is in danger. The galaxy is not a safe place. We offer you our protection." Around the world, people gathered around televisions and radios. The alien message was being broadcast everywhere. In Tokyo, London, Moscow, and Cairo, millions of people listened to the same words. The Velari were offering to protect Earth. "We have done this before," the message went on. "Many worlds have accepted our help. We give them our technology. We keep them safe from the dangers of space. In return, they join our community of protected worlds." President Brooks convened an emergency. Meeting of world leaders. Using video conference technology, she spoke with the leaders of China, Russia, India, and the European Union. Everyone had the same questions. Who were these Valari? What kind of dangers were they talking about? And most importantly, what did they want in return? This could be the greatest opportunity in human history, said the Chinese premier. Advanced alien technology could solve all our problems. Climate change, disease, poverty, everything. The Russian president was more cautious. Or it could be the end of human independence. We know nothing about these beings or their true intentions. Admiral Davis had been listening to the debates, but something bothered him. He had spent his whole career in the military, protecting Earth from threats. Now aliens were offering to do his job for him. What exactly are they protecting us from? He asked. They say the galaxy is dangerous, but dangerous how? Dr. Carter had been thinking the same thing. In all her years of research, she had never found any evidence of hostile alien life near Earth. We need more information, she said. We need to know what these threats are before we can decide anything. The next morning, the Valari sent another message. This time, it was different. Instead of just audio, they sent a hologram. The image appeared simultaneously at the United Nations building in New York, the White House, and major government buildings around the world. The being that appeared was tall and thin, with smooth, pale skin and large, dark eyes. It wore robes that seemed to shimmer like the alien ship itself. When it spoke, its voice was calm and gentle. I am Ambassador Kethver, the being said. I speak for the Valari Council. We understand your confusion and fear. It is natural. Every species goes through this moment. The hologram looked directly at the cameras, as if it could see the millions of people watching. Your species has reached a critical point. You have nuclear weapons. You have begun to explore space. Soon, you will attract the attention of forces that would destroy you. We offer you a choice. Accept our protection and join the galactic community, or face these dangers alone. In the UN General Assembly, delegates from every nation sat in stunned silence. This was beyond anything they had prepared for. The Secretary General finally found his voice. What kind of dangers? What forces? Kethver's expression grew serious. The devourers who consume entire star systems. The hive mind which absorbs civilizations into its collective consciousness. The void walkers who exist between dimensions and strike without warning. These are just a few of the threats that roam the galaxy. Admiral Davis leaned forward in his chair back in Washington. And you protect other worlds from these threats? We do. For thousands of years, we have maintained peace and order. Young species like yours cannot survive alone. But under our protection, you will be safe. You will prosper. The world held its breath, waiting for someone to respond. Finally, President Brooks spoke up. We appreciate your offer, Ambassador Kethver, but we need time to discuss this among ourselves. This is not a decision we can make quickly. The alien ambassador nodded. Of course, we understand. We will wait for your answer, but do not wait too long. The galaxy does not pause for anyone. As the hologram faded away, Admiral Davis turned to his staff. His question hung in the air, expressing what many humans were thinking. They want to protect us from all these terrible threats, but here's what I want to know. If the galaxy is so dangerous and these threats are so powerful, how exactly do we know we can trust the ones offering protection? It was a question that would change everything. 3 days after the first contact, Ambassador Kethver appeared again. This time, his hologram materialized in the main conference room at the United Nations. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat around the large table, waiting to hear more about the galaxy they had never known existed. You asked about the dangers, Kethver began, his voice echoing in the quiet room. I will show you what we have protected others from. The air above the table shimmered, and suddenly the room filled with images. Planets burning under dark ships. Entire star systems going dark. Cities full of people walking in perfect unison, their eyes empty and glazed. The delegates watched in horror as the scenes played out before them. The devourers, Kethfer explained. As they watched ships the size of moons strip mining entire worlds, they consume everything. Planets, stars, even the space between them, nothing satisfies their hunger. Dr. Lisa Carter, who had been invited to observe the meeting, took notes. Frantically, the technology being shown was beyond anything humans had imagined. How do you fight something like that? She whispered to her assistant. The images changed. Now, they showed people in cities that looked almost normal, except everyone moved in the same way at the same time. Children, adults, elderly people, all walking in perfect lines toward massive black towers. The hive mind, Kethfer continued, they do not destroy bodies. They absorb minds. Every person they take becomes part of their collective consciousness. Individual thought disappears forever. Senator Bill Jackson from Texas felt sick watching the images. How many people have they absorbed? Billions, Kethfer replied simply. Entire civilizations. They grow stronger with each world they take. The final set of images was the most disturbing. Ships and stations suddenly torn apart by creatures that seemed to exist partly in normal space and partly somewhere else. The beings appeared as dark shadows with too many arms, reaching through what looked like tears in reality itself. The Void Walkers, Kethfer said. They exist between dimensions. They can appear anywhere, anytime. No defense has ever stopped them completely. The room fell silent. The images faded, leaving only the pale alien standing at the head of the table. These are just 3 of the major threats in our galaxy. There are others. Pirates, war fleets, ancient machines that destroy anything they encounter. The galaxy is not a peaceful place. President Brooks spoke first. And you protect other worlds from all of this? We do. For over 10,000 years, we have maintained order. We have created safe zones where younger species can grow and learn without fear. The Chinese representative raised her hand. What do you ask in return for this protection? Kethver smiled, the first time the humans had seen him show any emotion. Very little. We ask that protected worlds follow certain guidelines. No weapons of mass destruction. No aggressive expansion into space. No interference with other protected worlds. In return, we provide technology, knowledge, and complete safety. Admiral Davis had been listening from the military observer section. Something about the arrangement bothered him. Can you show us some of these protected worlds? What do they look like now? The hologram shifted again, showing beautiful cities under dome-shaped shields. The buildings were elegant and graceful, unlike anything on Earth. People moved peacefully through parks and gardens. Everything looked perfect and clean. The Xanthari were once a warlike species, Kethver explained. They fought constantly. Among themselves. Under our protection, they have known peace for 3,000 years. The next image showed a world covered in vast libraries and research centers. The Meklon were once obsessed with dangerous experiments. Now they focus on safe knowledge and artistic expression. Dr. Carter studied the images carefully. The worlds looked wonderful, but something seemed strange. Are these recent images? She asked. Yes, all taken within your past year. They look very similar to each other. All the protected worlds seem to have the same type of architecture, the same kind of cities, Kethver nodded. Efficient design is shared among all protected worlds. Why create many different solutions when one works perfectly? Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster from Earth's Strategic Command had been taking notes throughout the presentation. As a military strategist, she noticed things others might miss. Ambassador, could you tell us more about the military capabilities of these protected worlds? Military capabilities? Kethver looked confused. Protected worlds have no need for military forces. We provide all necessary defense. But what if something happened to you? What if the Velari were unable to protect them for some reason? That has never happened, Kethver replied. The Velari have maintained peace for millennia. We are the strongest force in the galaxy. Colonel Foster pressed on. But hypothetically, if a protected world needed to defend itself, could it? The alien ambassador was quiet for a long moment. Protected worlds focus on peaceful pursuits. art, science, philosophy. They have no need to develop weapons or military tactics. Dr. Carter felt a chill run down her spine. What about space exploration? Do protected worlds have their own spacecraft? Transportation is provided by the Valkyrie fleet when necessary. Protected worlds have everything they need on their home planets. The questions continued for another hour. Slowly, a picture emerged that made some of the human representatives uncomfortable. The protected worlds sounded beautiful and peaceful, but they also sounded completely dependent on the Valkyrie for everything. After the meeting, the world leaders gathered in smaller groups to discuss what they had learned. President Brooks met with her advisors in a secure room at the UN building. "It sounds like a good deal," said Secretary of State Karen White. "No more wars, no more threats, advanced technology. What's not to like?" Admiral Davis disagreed. "It also sounds like giving up everything that makes us human. No exploration, no independence, no ability to defend ourselves. Maybe that's not such a bad thing," argued Dr. Martinez, the president's science advisor. "Look at all the problems independence has caused us. Wars, pollution, inequality. Maybe it's time to let someone else handle the big decisions." Colonel Foster had been studying the data they had been given. "I've been analyzing the information about these protected worlds. There's something interesting I noticed. None of them have developed any new technology in the past 1,000 years. They all seem to have stopped advancing scientifically." "Maybe they reached a point where they didn't need to advance anymore," suggested Dr. Martinez. "Or maybe they're not allowed to," Foster replied. Meanwhile, in another part of the UN building, Dr. Carter was video calling her research team back at NASA. "Did you catch all the technical details in those images?" she asked. "Yes, and we noticed something odd," replied her assistant, Dr. Kevin Brown. "All the protected worlds seem to be using the exact same technology, the same building materials, the same energy systems, even the same transportation methods." "That's what I thought too. It's like they all stopped innovating and just accepted whatever the Valkyrie gave them." "There's something else," Kevin continued. "We did some calculations based on the ship sizes shown in the images. The Valkyrie fleet is huge, but most of their ships seem to be designed for transport and construction, not combat." Dr. Carter frowned. "What do you mean?" "Well, if they're fighting these terrible enemies like the Devourers and the Hive Mind, you'd expect to see heavily armed warships. But most of what we saw looked more like cargo ships and engineering vessels." While the world leaders debated, Captain Ben Harper was preparing for humanity's first independent deep space mission. His ship, the Horizon, was Earth's newest and most advanced spacecraft. It had been designed to explore the outer solar system, but recent events had changed its mission. "Are we really doing this?" asked his second-in-command, Commander Lisa. "Park, orders are orders," Ben replied. "The President wants to know what's really out there before we make any big decisions about the Valkyrie offer." The Horizon was small compared to the massive Valkyrie ship, but it represented something important. It was built by human hands, powered by human technology, and crewed by people who had never asked anyone's permission to explore the stars. As they prepared for launch, they received an unexpected message. It was not from Earth, and it was not from the Valkyrie. The signal was weak and filled with static, but the words were clear. "Human ship, this is the vessel Freedom's Hope. We are refugees from the Krovani system. We have been trying to reach someone, anyone who might help us. Please respond." Captain Harper looked at his crew. They had been in space for less than a day, and already they were encountering something the Valkyrie had not told them about. "This is Captain Harper of the Earthship Horizon. We hear you, Freedom's Hope. What kind of help do you need?" The reply came quickly. "We are fleeing from the protected zones. We need to warn you about the Valkyrie. They are not what they seem." Ben felt his heart racing. "Can you elaborate?" "We cannot say more over open channels. Can you meet us at these coordinates? We have information that could save your world." As the Horizon changed course to meet the mysterious refugees, back on Earth the debate continued. The world was divided. Some countries wanted to accept the Valkyrie offer immediately. Others wanted to wait and learn more. A few, led by Admiral Davis, were beginning to ask harder questions. Captain Ben Harper stared at the coordinates on his ship's display. The meeting point was in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It would take the Horizon 6 hours to reach the location where the mysterious refugees waited. Should we tell Earth Command about this? Asked Commander Lisa Park. Ben thought about it. Not yet. Let's see what these people have to say first. If the Velari are monitoring our communications, we don't want to put anyone in danger. While the Horizon traveled toward its secret meeting, back on Earth the global debate was growing more intense. Some countries were ready to accept the Velari offer immediately. Others wanted more time to think. In Geneva, the World Council met for the third day in a row. The representative from Germany stood up to speak. My country has seen what happens when we trust the wrong people with our protection. We cannot make this decision in fear. The representative from Japan disagreed. My country has also seen destruction from war. The Velari offer us a chance to end all conflicts forever. How can we refuse? President Brooks watched the debates from Washington. Every day that passed, more people seemed to be choosing sides. Some wanted safety at any cost. Others valued freedom above all else. What do our military commanders think? She asked Admiral Davis. They're divided, just like everyone else, Davis replied. But I've been getting reports from our space tracking stations. The Velari ship isn't just sitting there. It's been scanning our planet constantly. Every major city, every military base, every communications center. Maybe they're just trying to understand us better. Maybe, or maybe they're studying our defenses. Meanwhile, Colonel Amy Foster was working with her intelligence team to analyze everything they knew about the Velari. She had been a military strategist for 15 years, and something about the alien offer felt wrong. Look at this pattern, she said to her team, pointing at data on the large screen. Every protected world the Velari showed us follows the same development path. First contact, then gradual technology transfer, then complete dependency? What's wrong with that? Asked Lieutenant Bob Chun, one of her analysts. Think about it like this, Foster explained. If you wanted to control someone, what would you do? You'd make them need you. You'd take away their ability to take care of themselves. But the Velari are protecting these worlds from real threats. The Devourers, the hive mind, all those dangers. Foster pulled up another screen. Are they? We've only seen what the Velari chose to show us. We haven't heard from any of the protected worlds directly. At that moment, Captain Harper's voice came through the communications system. Earth Command, this is the Horizon. We have a situation out here. The Horizon had reached the coordinates and found 3 small ships waiting. They were clearly damaged, with hull breaches that had been hastily repaired. The ships were unlike anything in Earth's databases, but they were definitely not Velari vessels. This is Captain Harper of the Earthship Horizon, Ben broadcast. Are you the ones who contacted us? Yes, Captain, came the reply. This is Commander Zara of the Corvani Republic. We need to speak with you urgently. The main screen in the Horizon's bridge flickered to life, showing a being that looked almost human but with slightly blue-tinted skin and larger eyes. Behind her, Ben could see other beings moving around what appeared to be a cramped refugee. Ship, Commander Zara, Ben said carefully. You said you were fleeing from the protected zones. Can you explain what that means? Zara's expression grew sad. My people were one of the first to accept Velari protection over 2,000 years ago. We thought we were the lucky ones. We thought we were safe. What happened? At first, everything was wonderful. The Velari gave us amazing technology. They built beautiful cities for us. They protected us from outside threats. But slowly, we began to realize what we had lost. Commander Park leaned forward. What do you mean? We lost our ability to think for ourselves. Every major decision was made by the Velari. They told us what to study, what to build, where to live. They said it was for our own good. Ben felt a chill. Did you try to leave? We tried many times. But the Velari always found us. They would bring us back to our protected world and explain that we were confused, that we needed their guidance. Most of our people believed them, but you didn't. Some of us remembered what freedom felt like. We formed a resistance movement. It took us decades to build ships that could escape their detection. Even now, we're not sure if we're truly free. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent beeping from the horizon's sensors. "Captain," called out the navigation officer, "we're detecting a large object approaching fast. It's definitely not human." On the screen, they could see a sleek ship that looked like it was made of flowing metal. It was beautiful, but also somehow threatening. "That's a Valari patrol ship," Zara said, her voice filled with fear. "They found us." The Valari ship sent a message on all frequencies. "Earth Vessel Horizon, you are interfering with Valari security operations. Please withdraw immediately." Ben looked at his crew, then at the refugee ships on his screen. "Negative. Valari ship, we are conducting authorized Earth operations in our own solar system. The beings you are communicating with are criminals who have violated the terms of their protection. They must be returned to their designated world." "What were their crimes?" Ben asked. There was a pause. "They left their protection zone without authorization. They are spreading false information about the Valari Protectorate. They are mentally unstable and require treatment." Zara spoke urgently to Ben. "Captain, we have information your people need to know. The Valari are not what they claim to be. The threats they describe, the Devourers and the others, they're not the real danger." The Valari ship moved closer. "Earth vessel, you have 10 minutes to withdraw or we will be forced to take action." Ben had to make a decision. He could withdraw and let the Valari take the refugees, or he could stand his ground and risk a confrontation with a clearly superior alien ship. "Commander Zara," he said, "if what you're saying is true, we need proof. Can you show us evidence?" "We have recordings, documents, even former Valari communications. But we need time to transmit them to you." The Valari ship was now close enough that Ben could see its smooth, flowing surface. It was beautiful, but he noticed something that made him nervous. There were no visible weapons, but there were strange bulges along the hull that could be anything. 5 minutes remaining, the Valari message repeated. "Lisa," Ben said to his second-in-command, "prepare to receive data from the refugee ships. Maximum speed." "Ben, if we do this, we're taking a side in something we don't understand." "Maybe, but those people risked everything to warn us. The least we can do is listen." The data began flowing into the Horizon's computers. Files, recordings, and images filled their storage systems. Some of it was in alien languages, but the computer was already starting to translate. 2 minutes remaining. Ben opened a channel. "To Earth. Earth Command, this is the Horizon. We are about to receive some very important information. If something happens to us, make sure this data gets to the right people." "Horizon, what's your situation?" came Admiral Davis's voice. "We're about to find out if the Valari are really our friends or not." Just then, something unexpected happened. The Valari ship suddenly stopped moving. A new voice came over the communication system, but this one was different. It sounded older, more tired. "Earthship, this is Senior Commander Thekvo of the Valari Fleet. I have been monitoring this situation. I am ordering the patrol ship to withdraw." "Sir?" The patrol ship captain sounded confused. "You heard me. Let the humans make their own choice. We have been watching them for some time. They are not like the others." The patrol ship slowly moved away, but not before sending one final message. "Earth vessel, the beings you are helping are dangerous. They will fill your minds with lies about the Valari. Do not trust them." As the Valari ship disappeared, Ben looked at the data they had received. There were thousands of files, but one caught his attention immediately. It was a recording made by what appeared to be a former Valari official. "If you are receiving this message," the recording began, "then you are probably being offered Valari protection. Before you accept, you must understand the truth. The Valari are not protectors. They are farmers, and protected worlds are their crops." Ben felt his blood turn cold. "Get me a secure channel to Earth. Priority 1. Back on Earth, the debate was still raging, but soon everything would change. The data from the refugee ships would reveal the truth about the Valari Protectorate. The galaxy's greatest threats were not the devourers or the hive mind. The greatest threat was the species that claimed to be protecting everyone from them. The question was no longer whether Earth should accept Valari protection. The question was whether humanity would be strong enough to survive the truth about what that protection really meant and whether they could do anything about it before it was too late. Dr. Lisa Carter had not slept in 36 hours. The data from Captain Harper's mission filled dozens of computer screens around her. Every file told the same terrifying story. The Valari were not protectors. They were conquerors who used kindness as their weapon. "Look at this," she said to her team, pointing at a translation of Corvani records. The Valari didn't save them from the Devourers. They created the Devourer threat themselves. Dr. Kevin Brown leaned over her shoulder to read. "That can't be right. We saw the destruction, entire planets consumed." "Yes, but look at the dates. The Devourer attacks always happen right after. A species refused Valari protection, and they always stopped the moment that species agreed to be protected." The evidence was overwhelming. For thousands of years, the Valari had been running the same scheme across the galaxy. They would approach a young species and offer protection from terrible threats. If the species refused, those threats would mysteriously appear. If they accepted, they would slowly lose all independence until they became completely dependent on their protectors. President Brooks called an emergency meeting of world leaders. The conference room was tense as she shared what Earth had learned. "The refugee data is clear," she said. "The Valari protection system is a trap. Every protected world becomes a prison." "But what about the threats?" asked the Prime Minister of Canada. "Even if the Valari are controlling them, the Devourers and hive minds still exist. They're still dangerous." Admiral Davis had been studying the military aspects of the data. "That's the clever part. The threats are real, but they work for the Valari. Think of them as attack dogs. The Valari let them loose on anyone who refuses protection, then call them off once their victims surrender." "So what do we do?" asked the President of Brazil. "If we refuse the Valari offer, they'll send these creatures after us. If we accept, we lose our freedom forever." "We fight," said Admiral Davis simply. The room erupted in arguments. Some leaders thought fighting was suicide. Others believed it was their only choice. While they debated, Commander Sarah Mitchell was leading a secret reconnaissance mission to the edge of the solar system. Her small stealth ship, the Shadow, had been designed for spying missions. It was nearly invisible to most sensors and could travel faster than anything else Earth had built. Her mission was to find out what the Valari were really doing in Earth space. "Contact ahead," reported her pilot, Lieutenant Dan Rogers. "It's big." On their screens appeared something that made Sarah's heart stop. It was a massive structure, easily 10 times larger than the Valari ship orbiting Earth. It looked like a space station, but it was clearly under construction. "What is that thing?" whispered Rogers. Sarah studied the structure through her ship's telescopes. She could see smaller ships moving around it, building and adding to its bulk. "It looks like a fortress or a factory. Should we get closer?" "Carefully, very carefully." As the Shadow moved closer, they could see more details. The structure was definitely a factory of some kind. Ships were being built in massive construction bays. But these were not the graceful Valari vessels they had seen before. These ships looked like war machines. "Are those weapons?" Rogers asked, pointing at long tubes protruding from the newly built ships. "That's exactly what they are," Sarah replied grimly. "The Valari have been building a war fleet right in our backyard. They recorded everything they could, but their investigation was interrupted by an alarm. "Multiple contacts approaching," reported the ship's computer. "Valari patrol ships? How many?" 12, and they're moving fast." Sarah had to make a quick decision. They could try to run, but the Valari ships were probably faster. They could try to hide, but they might be detected anyway. Or they could do something completely unexpected. Open a channel to the lead Velari ship, she ordered. Sarah, what are you doing? Rogers asked. Something they won't expect. This is Commander Mitchell of the Earth vessel Shadow, she broadcast. We are conducting routine patrols of our solar system. Is there a problem? The reply came quickly. Earth vessel, you are in a restricted area. You must leave immediately. Restricted by whom? Sarah asked. This is still our solar system, last time I checked. By order of the Velari Protectorate. This area is dangerous for primitive vessels. Sarah felt anger building in her chest. Primitive? Our ship is doing just fine, thank you. What exactly are you hiding out here that's so dangerous? There was a long pause. You are asking too many questions, human. Return to your planet. Or what, you'll make us? It was a dangerous bluff, but Sarah was counting on the Velari not wanting to start a fight before they were ready. Her gamble paid off. The patrol ships moved aside, allowing the shadow to pass, but as they headed back toward Earth, Sarah knew they had learned something crucial. The Velari were preparing for war. All their talk about protection and peace was just a cover while. They'd built the forces they would need to conquer Earth. Back on Earth, the world leaders were still arguing about what to do, but their debate was interrupted by an urgent message from Ambassador Kethver. His hologram appeared in the UN Assembly Hall, but this time he looked different. His calm, peaceful expression was gone, replaced by something harder. People of Earth, he began, we have been patient with your questions and delays, but our patience has limits. You have been interfering with Velari security operations. Your ships have been entering restricted areas. This cannot continue. President. Brooks stepped forward. Ambassador, we've been learning some disturbing things about your protection system. We need more time to evaluate your offer. There is no more time, Kethver replied coldly. The threats we warned you about are already moving toward your system. The Devourers have detected your transmissions. They will arrive within days. How convenient, muttered Admiral Davis. Kethver continued as if he hadn't heard. We can still protect you, but only if you accept our offer immediately. Once the Devourers arrive, it may be too late. And if we refuse, asked the Secretary General of the UN, then you will face the consequences of your choice. The Velari cannot force protection on those who do not want it. After the hologram faded, the room fell silent. Everyone understood the threat. Accept Velari protection and lose their freedom, or refuse and face destruction from the Devourers. It's blackmail, said Admiral Davis, pure and simple. But what choice do we have? Asked the German representative. Even if we know it's a trap, we can't fight the Devourers alone. Colonel Foster had been quiet during the meeting, but now she spoke up. Actually, we might be able to. I've been analyzing the combat data from the refugee files. The Devourers are powerful, but they're not unbeatable. What do you mean? They rely on fear and overwhelming force. They attack species that have never seen real combat before. But Earth is different. We've been fighting wars for our entire history. We know how to adapt, how to improvise, how to fight when we're outnumbered. Admiral Davis nodded. She's right. The Velari made a mistake when they chose Earth. They picked a species that's never known peace. We're not like the other worlds. They've conquered. President Brooks looked around the room at the faces of world leaders. She could see fear, but she could also see determination. Are we really considering fighting both the Velari and their attack dogs? Ma'am, said Davis, I think we're considering something even more dangerous than that. What? We're considering winning. The decision was not made in that room. It was made later, in smaller meetings and private conversations, but slowly humanity began to choose. Not the safe path of protection, but the dangerous path of freedom. Around the world, military forces began to mobilize. Scientists worked around the clock to adapt Earth's weapons for space combat. Engineers designed new ships based on everything they had learned from the Velari technology, but most importantly, the word began to spread to other species in the galaxy. Humanity was not going to surrender. They were going to fight. And for the first time in thousands of years, The Valari Protectorate faced something they had never encountered before. A species that looked at their overwhelming power and asked, not for mercy, but for a fair fight. The message that went out from Earth to the galaxy was simple. We don't need your protection, we are the protection. The war for Earth's independence was about to begin. But more than that, the war for the freedom of every species in the galaxy was about to start, and humanity intended to win both. The Devourer ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system exactly when Ambassador Kethver had predicted. Massive dark vessels that looked like hungry metal beasts. They moved slowly toward Earth, consuming asteroids and space debris as they traveled. Admiral Ryan Davis watched from the bridge of humanity's newest warship, the Defiance. Around him, the largest fleet Earth had ever assembled waited in formation. 300 ships, built in the 6 months since humanity had learned the truth about the Valari. They were smaller than the enemy vessels, but they carried something. The galaxy had forgotten how to use the will to fight. How many Devourer ships? Davis asked his tactical officer. 50 confirmed, sir. Each one is at least 5 times larger than our biggest ship. And the Valari fleet? Still holding position near Earth, they haven't moved to intercept the Devourers. Davis smiled grimly. Of course they haven't. They're waiting for us to get desperate enough to beg for their protection. On Earth, President Helen Brooks watched the approaching battle from the Situation Room. Every world leader was connected by video link, their faces tense with fear and determination. They had made their choice, but now they had to live with the consequences. Admiral, she said over the communication link, the whole world is watching. Show them what humanity can do. Yes, ma'am, we'll make you proud. Captain Ben Harper commanded one of the smaller attack ships in the fleet. His crew was young and scared, but they were also angry. They had seen the refugee files. They knew what the Valari system really meant. Today they fought not just for Earth, but for every species that had ever lost its freedom to false protectors. All ships? This is Admiral Davis, came the voice. Over the fleet communication system. The enemy thinks we're just another primitive species that will fold at the first sign of real resistance. They're about to learn why that's a mistake. The first Devourer ship entered weapons range and immediately opened fire. Beams of dark energy lanced out toward the human fleet. 2 Earth ships exploded instantly, their crews dying before they could even return fire. All ships, scatter formation, Davis ordered. Don't give them easy targets. This was where human experience with warfare showed its value. For thousands of years, humans had been fighting against superior enemies. They had learned to use speed, cunning, and coordination to overcome raw power. The Earth fleet broke apart into smaller groups, each one attacking from a different angle. The Devourers, used to facing enemies who fought in organized formations, struggled to target the chaotic human assault. Captain Sarah Mitchell led her squadron in a daring attack, run straight at the largest Devourer ship. Remember, she told her pilots, these things are used to fighting enemies who are afraid of them. We're not afraid. We're angry. Her ships dove toward the massive vessel, dodging its defensive fire. At the last second, they released their missiles and pulled away. The explosions lit up the dark hull of the Devourer ship, and for the first time in centuries, one of the galaxy's most feared predators showed damage, but the celebration was short-lived. More Devourer ships were arriving, and the human fleet was taking heavy losses. For every enemy ship they damaged, they lost 3 of their own. Admiral, called Captain Harper over the communication system, we're not going to win this way. There are too many of them. Davis had been thinking the same thing, but he had one more card to play. All ships implement Plan Omega. Plan Omega was something the humans had developed in secret, while the Valari had been watching Earth's military preparations. They had missed something crucial. Humanity had been preparing not just to fight the Devourers, but to fight the Valari themselves. Broadcasting on all frequencies, Davis announced. Then he opened a channel that would reach every ship in the solar system, including the Valari fleet. This is Admiral Davis of the Earth Defense Force, he began. I have a message for every species listening to this transmission. The Valari are not your protectors. They are your jailers. The threats you fear work for them. The protection they offer is a cage. On the Valari command ship, Ambassador Kethver watched in alarm as Davis continued his broadcast. The Devourers attacking Earth right now are following Valari orders. They're here because we refuse to surrender our freedom. But we're not going to run, and we're not going to hide? Across the galaxy, on hundreds of protected worlds, people heard the Earth transmission. For the first time in centuries, they heard someone refusing to submit to Valari authority. We call on every free species to join us, Davis continued. We call on every protected world to remember what freedom feels like. The Valari maintain their power through fear, but fear only works if you let it. The battle raged around the broadcasting ship as Davis finished his message. We are humanity. We don't need your protection. We are the protection. Then something unexpected happened. New ships began appearing throughout the solar system. Not human ships, and not Valari ships either. These were vessels from a dozen different species, all responding to humanity's call for help. Commander Zara's voice came over the communication system. Earth Fleet, this is the Free Corvani Republic. We're here to help. More voices followed. Species that had broken free from Valari protection, groups that had been hiding in the dark spaces between stars, even some Valari who had grown tired of their people's endless control. The tide of battle began to turn. The Devourers found themselves facing not just the desperate humans they had expected, but a coalition of free species working together. Their simple tactics, designed to overwhelm single worlds, failed against the coordinated resistance, but the real shock came when the Valari fleet finally moved. Instead of joining the battle against the Devourers, half of the Valari ships turned their weapons on the other half. This is Senior Commander Thekval, came a transmission from the leading Valari ship. For too long, my people have ruled through deception and fear. Enough. Today we choose a different path. The civil war that erupted within the Valari fleet was swift and decisive. Those who wanted to continue the old system of control found themselves outnumbered by those who had been waiting for someone brave enough to stand up to them. Captain Harper found himself fighting alongside a Valari ship against a Devourer vessel. The irony was not lost on him. Valari ship, this is Captain Harper. Thanks for the help. Thank you, human, came the reply. You showed us something we had forgotten. That freedom is worth fighting for. The battle lasted for hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The Devourers, cut off from their Valari controllers and facing united resistance for the first time in their existence, began to retreat. Many were destroyed, others fled to the outer darkness. When the fighting was over, Admiral Davis found himself in command of the largest free fleet the galaxy had seen in thousands of years. Ships from dozens of species surrounded Earth, all flying under a new flag, the banner of galactic freedom. President Brooks addressed the fleet from Earth. Today, humanity learned something important. We're not alone in wanting to be free. And, the galaxy learned something too. That sometimes the best defense is refusing to believe you need defending. Ambassador Kethver, now representing the Free Valari Republic, appeared one last time as a hologram. But this time his message was different. People of Earth, we came here offering you protection from the dangers of the galaxy. Instead, you showed us that the real danger was us. We offer no protection now, he continued. Instead, we offer partnership. An alliance of free worlds working together not as masters and servants, but as equals. Dr. Lisa Carter, watching from her laboratory, smiled as she recorded the moment. Humanity had been offered a shield from the galaxy's dangers, but they had replied with the most human response possible. From what? The answer had changed everything. Earth didn't need protection from the galaxy. The galaxy needed protection from those who would control it. In the months that followed, the protected zones crumbled as world after world chose freedom over safety. The Valari Protectorate became the Galactic Free Alliance, with Earth as one of its founding members, and when new species were discovered, when young civilizations reached for the stars, they were not offered protection. They were offered something far more valuable, the chance to stand on their own, to make their own mistakes, and to face the universe as free beings. The galaxy was dangerous, that much was true. But it was also full of possibilities, and humanity had shown everyone that the greatest danger of all was giving up the freedom to choose your own path through the stars.